Hi, Claire. Hi, Amy. This is for both of you. I wanted to finally get some thoughts in the right format that are really important for me to say. And I promise you that on Monday, the self reflection form will come. But this is critical, what I'm about to say, and the self reflection form will develop that and answer the other questions. Thank you both for your patience, and I apologize for the delays and everything, but I've been really wanting to say something, and I wanted to say it in the right way so that it really registers. My hope in this brief video, in which I'm going to address something, as I said, critical about the global classroom, my hope is that both of you will become champions of what happens in this space, and that we're going to go forwards with something that's going to be even more exciting in this room. But first, let me just explain that I'm very worried about the fact that, from a financial perspective, and maybe even just a general commitment to this kind of education, the global classroom and the dream that I've been a part of over these years in helping to build this facility is going to start to peter out. And I want to make sure that we can have a discussion, Claire, on Tuesday in which we can really talk about where can the global classroom go? What do we need to be doing? And I want to talk about a few things that are really important about this space. And first, before I do that, I'd just like to touch base with the International Space Station, the live view from the high definition camera, about 425 kilometers straight up into the sky right now, moving at about 7.6 kilometers per second. It's right over the Indian Ocean. I always do this with my students because it's really important to be able to remember that what goes on in this space is something that is so critical for all of the students that come into this space and all young people around the world today, which is opening them all up to a much broader, more planet wide view and ensuring that they can have a place to come where they can explore this together with each other. So always starting with that live view. Unfortunately, the space station is moving through night right now, and sunrise will not come for another 25 minutes. So it's very dark. It's over the Indian Ocean right now, but you can see a few lights. But it gives you a sense of the fact that we are encompassing the entire planet here. But also, it's really important to remember that what we've been building in this room is not just connecting people from around the world and giving them a chance to do that. That was exciting and novel before the pandemic, but the pandemic changed that, and everybody started going online and connecting. And so, what we've been able to do with the technology here and with the great resources that we have and technical support, and my commitment is to be able to go the next step in this kind of education in which we can be creating a really new and exciting, what I call, multimedia classroom for all of humanity. Now, we have to think about, what does that really mean? Well, I just want to come back to what's really important, and that is our students, what happens on campus. We must, at this time, actually, in the crisis that we're in right now, in terms of the tumultuous changes taking place, we need a renewed commitment to what happens in this room. We we need to remember that if we begin to lose this kind of innovative approach to education, we will do not just a great disservice to what might have been at Durham College in bringing attention to the college, but ultimately what we would have done to the students themselves in not giving them that chance to really engage in this way of thinking. And I just want to put up a few sort of important points to make about why it's so important that we build on the successes in this facility and make sure that we have a financial commitment to what we need in this room. But even more than that, that we just have a general commitment to the idea that students really need this larger global picture in which technology is becoming even more central in those lives, in our lives. That's why we must be using the technology around us in ways that are sophisticated, that demonstrate to the students that we're on top of that and we can enrich their education experience with the technology. That's what I'm trying to do here, is really make that technology an enrichment of the educational experience so that everybody has a chance to engage in this. And we're talking, of course, about the massive complexity that students are facing in their challenges in the workforce today. We talk about the disruption, we know that, but I want to give you a new word that is really starting to be discussed more and more, and which has been directly impacted by the exponential growth almost of artificial intelligence in our lives, and that is ambiguity. AI, AI, AI is doing this. AI is beginning to affect the labor market in ways it never has before. Unemployment is rising. Students need to be able to understand what are human skills and how critical they are. Critical thinking, context awareness, and then, of course, this idea of ambiguity in their lives, because we are dealing with this idea of what it means to be human. It's coming up more and more and more in what students tell me, their confusion around how much they should be using technology, what exactly do they, as a human being, bring to the table, and more importantly, when they enter the labor force right now, what exactly are the human skills that they need to practice and polish so that they can succeed in a market now that is increasingly leaning to AI to manage particularly a lot of the junior level jobs. Students need a renewed commitment to foundational skills around what it means to be a human, around how to think critically, how to ensure that they can not just be managing outputs from machines or be curators of outputs, but they're actually engaging in structured thinking, that they know how to use this technology well. And we're talking about a mindset. We're talking about the way the human mind is changing. And this brings me back to something that I want to move towards a conclusion on. And it's something that was said by a student when he was in this room trying to understand Why short history of the world? Why global leader? Why humanity's destiny? Why this space was so important? He, he came to realize the importance of what it means to be human. These were his words, and they continue to resonate. It's in this space with this technology, engaging students live, online, in recordings, all at the same time, that allow us to explore this together in ways that are motivating to students. And it has a lot to do with this person, Jacob Bronowski. He's the original popularizer of science on television. Back in the 1960s, his series, The Ascent of Man, is one of the most successful documentary series in television history. He wrote a book called The Ascent of Man. He inspired Carl Sagan and Neil deGrasse Tyson, who was Carl Sagan's student. Jacob Bronowski said, "We need a new mind." He said this in the 1960s. We need a new mind to deal with this planetary world. He didn't live to see artificial intelligence so transform our world as it is, but he would have renewed what he said even more when he would have seen the way that AI is challenging us humans, to understand that our minds, our brains are unique, and there's something that we can do as humans, something that we need to understand in order for us to manage the machines in our life, not let them manage us. This kind of theme, this large theme of what it means to be human, ultimately brings us back to something that is so central in this room. And I just want to put this up here now because it is a lovely thought to conclude this little video for the two of you. And that is, in this video called Beauty is Humanity, the creator of this was trying to tell us something about the idea that humanity is very special in all of its meanings, but also that we are increasingly moving towards a time in history in the 21st century and beyond where humanity is changing because of the rapid advance of machines and technology in our lives. And we need to explore this question from so many different perspectives, so many different disciplines. We need to understand what exactly is the human being? What is a human being responsible for? What does it mean to have human skills? What is context awareness exactly? What do we mean when we talk about this idea that we're living in a time of what has been increasingly called permacrisis? That's the word that the Oxford English Dictionary recently discussed as one of its most popular new words, permacrisis. And this was a few years after the word of the year was xenophobia. There are big, basic questions. There are so many confusing and difficult dilemmas that young people face today. We need to have a classroom that brings technology into it, but doesn't let technology take over it. That demonstrates that we have used technology to enrich the human educational experience to make us smarter as we go forwards. We've been doing that at this college. We've spent so much money and time on building this facility. I've put so much into this over the years as well, helping to build this. Let's remember the great cliche. I hate to end with cliches, but it's a great one. Never let a good crisis go to waste. Claire, next Tuesday, I really look forward to a discussion with you about the big stuff that we can be doing to make us proud of what we do at Durham College and to take Durham College to a place where people are talking about it all over. Look at what they're doing with education in the global classroom. They are renewing their commitment to a vision. They're not letting it go away. I'll see you Tuesday.